Hey, today we're going to be looking at Teladoc. Teladoc is new to me. I've had interest in them, but I haven't actually bought any of this stock. So before I get started with Teladoc, I just want to say if anyone has any opinions on uh, what they would consider buying it at or selling it at, feel free to share that in the comments. Or if you just have news related to them in terms of why they might continue trending downwards or upwards or anything like that, that would be great. Uh, but otherwise, let's just kind of get into it. So this is what I would call one of my hype type stocks. And if you're unfamiliar with what we're kind of doing here, uh, we're just drawing in a couple lines here. We're trying to pick out the absolute low, which seems to be at about 21. And this one's very unique. I'm just going to point out right off the bat out of all the other ones because most of the other ones, it's been very wavy in terms of it will peak, come down, and then it started to climb back up. But this one, it rocketed up in 21 and then came crashing down, and now it's staying down in the bottom. So normally we do like a 3-year trend, and that's currently what's on the screen, is from today all the way back to 2020. But because this one has seemed to have stabilized back in like May of 22, I think for this one it's going to be best if we just focus on primarily this range of, I mean, back here's about January of 21 through 22. And so you can see, I mean, we're at like the bottom. And this bottom seems to be where people draw the line. And you can kind of also see at the very bottom, all these bars at the bottom kind of show how much fluctuation in terms of buying and selling is happening. And so there was a huge sell point back in like April, May of 22 that it just really wanted to push this one down. So without doing too much research into what's going on with the company outside of just it was overpriced at the time. I still think this one has potential. Uh, Again, I'll need to look further into it, listen to some uh, just other people's opinions, especially people more in the know, to fully understand what's going on here. But like I said, it does seem to be stable. And so this one might be a little bit different because, like, this black line, that's normally what I use to signify the bottom. But because this one is so consistently low at that point, we're just going to turn that one into our green line of roughly, it's kind of hard to see. Let's zoom in a little bit more just so we can see the bars a little more clearly. But we have our green line right around 21. So I'm just going to update my little spreadsheet here off to the side just so I can kind of mark out what's going on with this one. And I'll add in the date too. So currently it's at 25, and a buy point based on this would be 21. And so for me, we're just going to have a 3-line system for this one. We're going to make this one a red line, a sell point. The sell point for this one looks to be about 41, which is actually pretty high. In comparison, that's close to double what our buy point would be. And then if I want to draw in my last line, which would be a fair market value, which is more or less, has there been a different kind of resistance line or or what? And so right around 30, which happens to be right in the middle, it seems like we had some support back here in like that initial drop happened, must have been after its first quarter earnings in 22 that really plummeted. I'd be very interested to see the quarterly reports and annual reports for the past 2 years to understand what was going on, if they made a couple bad equipment investments or just what kind of happened here. It kind of interesting me to see such a drop in this company, but um, this fair value, I'm basing that off of, again, there seems to be a decent amount of support ever since the initial drop back in April of 22 through about, I would say, September of 22. Then it kind of acted as a resistance line for a couple months, peaked its head above it, came back down again, and now it's acting as resistance. And so right now, the fact that it's at 25, I would say this is a decent time to buy. Obviously, if it keeps coming close to 21, I think that's even better position. And then I guess in the very short term, again, the strategy for me is more or less, if I ideally we would want to buy, say, 2 or 3 shares, or um, I guess the proper term for me would be like units. So whatever a unit is for you, um, if you have the funds to buy like 10 or 20 of a stock, 20 10 or 20 shares of a stock, if if tens are your units, that's that's fine. That's it's depending on the person, but for me, I'm just dealing with like individual shares. I mean, this one's very inexpensive, so maybe a unit of this one to me would be like 2 or 4, just because 4 shares of this one today is like $100. So I know I have that available, but again, the strategy would be for this one especially would be like, uh, maybe wait a little bit until it gets close to 21, and then maybe buy, say, 4 shares. If it climbs up to 30, maybe I'd sell 2 of those, and then hold on to the other 2, just in case it does reach up to that 41 mark. And if it reaches that, then I would sell at least one more and maybe retain one more, because obviously this one has a lot of potential. At one point it was at like 174, and I think it's even higher than that if we kind of stretch it out to include 21. I think at one point it was like 300. So we would keep one like in our reserves, um, and maybe even like if it hit 41 and it started to trend back down, sort of like it did back here in like the second or third quarter of 22, and we noticed that and we're able to catch it, then maybe I would uh, sell that other one and have 0 shares in the stock. And then when it got back down to 30, maybe I would add one, just because, again, that was kind of a support line at one point not too long ago. And so if it were to start bouncing between 31 and 41, I'd have one there. If it trended down lower, I might wait for it to trend back down to 21 and then add up another, say, 4 shares, and then kind of just repeat that process and kind of see how it turns out. But otherwise, that's my feelings right now. So I'll just share kind of what we've added. So we have Teladoc right here in our hype stock type category. Um, I'm probably going to hold on this one, like not make a move, just because, as far as I can tell, it seems like it's definitely possible and likely that it'll trend back down to 21. So for me, yeah, I guess I would maybe wait till it turns to like 23. If it got into the 23 range, maybe I would add one or two. If it dropped down a little lower to like 22 something, maybe add another one. And if it dropped down all the way to 21 again, then maybe I'd add another one or two, and kind of build out a position that way, and then see how it reacts after that. So right now, it's close to a move, but me personally, I want to see if there's other positions that I could add to instead of this one before actually making a move on that. So that's my opinion. Please let me know what you think. Just what your opinions are on this. If you think it's a good time to buy, sell, or whatever. And otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.